Hi, I'm Dr. Larry Banta. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist working and living in Boise, Idaho in the United States. And I want to bring you greetings from our state and country and from the profession of child psychiatry. We have a particular interest in the welfare of children around the world and want to see that they have the very best and most up-to-date care that can be provided. I've been working with abandoned, displaced children, and handicapped children for the last 40 years. I started my career in child and adolescent psychiatry, working with therapeutic foster care, and was presented at that time with the idea of therapeutic parenting, which I have carried on from then. My professor was very much into that and had done research, and I reviewed a lot of his research and compiled a lot of it, but I don't think ever really published it. I started working with children's homes, group homes, early on in my career. I finished my medical school in India, spending 2 months at a children's home in north central India, in the state of Madhya Pradesh, actually in Uttar Pradesh as well. And then after finishing medical school, I spent 2 years in Kenya. And there I worked with handicapped children a good bit who had polio and provided a program for vaccinating hundreds of children to try to prevent polio in the areas where we were doing primary health care. Following that, I went into my residency for psychiatry and child and adolescent psychiatry. I've been a Christian since I was in college. My mother led me to Christ through her church. And since then, I have focused on providing care that is both spiritually and physically, psychiatrically up to date to help people with the whole person, not just the physical and mental. When we start to look at the issues of children who are placed outside of their home, who are not able to live with their natural parents, we see that there's a lot of special problems that they bring. These children may have experienced significant trauma, having been on the street, having been perhaps sexually trafficked, sexually, physically abused, neglected, maybe without food for days at a time, maybe physically as well as emotionally damaged when they come into care. Some of them may have just been removed from parents who were unable to care for them, or their parents had passed away, and they had only the trauma of being separated from their parents, which is significant, but maybe not as bad as some of the others. Even then, they need special care and treatment because they have been disconnected from that primary attachment, or maybe they haven't been able to attach. The concept of attachment in children is extremely important. It kind of gives us the basis of what we try to work with these kids. Attachment starts at birth, probably before birth, when the child can hear the mother and others that are around the mother that are interacting with the mother and may have experienced either the positive emotional experience of the mother or maybe even some of the negative things going on. But after birth, the child tries to bond with the mother and hopefully has that opportunity. And then through the next several months, goes through the process of attachment where it's kind of like the mother and the child are one. They don't want to be around other people. This is around 7 or 8 months of age. And then from then on, they start to work on individuation, becoming their own person. This process, which is the first 18 months to 3 years, is so important in laying the foundation for future relationships. They begin the process of individuation around 18 months and become their own person, and then start to develop relationships with other people, and then as they start into school with their friends, as they proceed through school, they're having best friends, which may change over time, and there may be groups of friends, hopefully. And then as they become older, start to become interested in the opposite sex. And because of this initial healthy relationship building early on, they can have a healthy relationship with the opposite sex, go into a marital relationship, and be able to enjoy the subsequent sexual relationship, would be pretty healthy if things had gone well. Well, things don't always go well. So when the attachment doesn't happen right, that's one of the first things we need to look at with these kids. Most of them, if not all, have an attachment disorder because they've had a disruption of their attachment. So how do we approach these kids? How do we best help them? Well, I want to look at things in the way of we want to provide a biopsychosocio-spiritual approach. We want to deal with the biological, that is the physical needs of the child, as well as maybe medical needs, maybe they need medication for physical or medical or psychiatric problems that may be affecting them. That's kind of basic. They come into care, they got to have food, they got to have shelter, they got to feel like they're going to have a good place to live. And then we want to help them with the psychological, be able to help them as a person to grow, to understand who they are, what their identity is, maybe they come from a particular tribe or region, and that is part of their identity and their heritage, and then to be able to develop some good self-esteem, self-confidence, and then the social, the relationships, building the attachment, which we'll talk about in a minute, and then of course the spiritual growth. So how do we do that? Well, talk about therapeutic parenting. My book, called Help for the Hurting Child, Christian Approaches to Therapeutic Parenting, is available on Amazon and other book distributors. This is gives some of the ideas about how to provide therapeutic parenting. Parenting is difficult as it is. Helping children in a normal family grow up is hard in this world. There's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of difficulties these kids can go through. Add to that, children who have been traumatized, have been pulled from their homes, have been abused, neglected on the streets, whatever may be their background, they're coming into care. How do we care for them? Well, we need to be more than just parents. We need to provide more than just love. We need to provide for these children a therapeutic environment, which is extremely important, and to have some skills to be able to understand trauma, understand attachment, understand what they need to go through to help them. The first thing that we need to provide for them is structure. What is structure? Well, structure in a home is having a consistent, loving environment where certain things happen at certain times. We have biological rhythms that need to be honored, basically. We like to eat at certain times and we like to go to sleep at certain times. So having regular meals, having good nutrition, taking care of those biological needs of the child, and having the social network, having the care for the child that they need, things happening on a regular basis, meals and bedtime, and maybe a devotional time, a time to speak together with the children, maybe around the table, having particular rituals in the home in terms of greeting and saying thank you and may I be excused, and certain rules and consequences in the home. And so within structure of the home, those are some of the things that are involved in providing that. It's like a skeleton of what happens, like a foundation in the home. And of course, within that foundation, we want to have a spiritual part as well, as maybe having regular devotional time in the evening or prayers before meals and such things, so that they can begin to recognize that there is a creator who loves them and cares about them, and that may be the reason that they're able to be in this particular home. Certainly God has been merciful to them to give them a place to live, and they need to be able to express gratitude for that to God and to those who are providing that help. So these kids are going to come in and they're going to need to go through a process of attachment. Oftentimes, about every 3 months, they're going to have a bit of a crisis. They're going to not know whether they want to be there or want to be somewhere else, whether they should attach to these people that are taking care of them, or whether they should still be loyal to their parents who may have abandoned them or may have been abusive toward them, but there's still some connection there. There always is. There's some level of connection, some level of care for those parents, however bad it might have been. And they have certainly, I've seen some really bad situations over the years, as many of you have, I'm sure. I could probably tell more stories than what I have. And the process of corrective attachment in a therapeutic environment, where you've got the structure, we've got a good system that you work in, it takes about 3 years, maybe longer with kids that have had more trauma. The process of therapeutic parenting is to remove any obstruction that might be impeding that natural process of attachment. Let me tell you the story of, I'll call her Sarah. Sarah is in the book. Sarah and her 5 other siblings, she was the oldest of the 5, were living in a very poor section in a Latin American large city. The mother, who was their sole provider, would leave to, I think, work on the streets. Maybe she was a prostitute. We never did find out what exactly she would do, but she would leave the house. The children had no food. The neighbor lady was advised, if these children tried to leave, to get out of the house to try to get something, beat them with a broom. Get them back in the house. Don't let them leave. They would go days without food, and they were physically abused by the neighbor and by the mother for leaving. There was no food in the house when they were found by authorities finally and brought into care. The oldest girl was very protective of her siblings. She would not allow them to attach, to even talk to the house parents in the home that they were brought into. They were able to all be together in the same home, which was good in that sense. There were, I think, 4 girls and 2 boys. They were corralled by her. They were not allowed to talk to the parents in the home, and they were very fearful of anything, and they were fearful of not having enough food. They were just afraid of everything, and the behaviors were very hard to manage for the house parents. I brought in Sarah, the oldest, and got to know her a little bit, got to see what was going on. And one day I sat her down. I had her look into my eyes, and I said, just look into my eyes. I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to say. And I told you, Sarah, you are fired. What? What do you mean I'm fired? You are fired. Fired from what? You don't have to be mom anymore. You and your brothers and sisters have a mom. You can give up the job of being mom. Well, there were a lot of tears, a lot of anger, a lot of relief. It took about an hour, I think, or more of working with her that day. And she finally relinquished that power. And I said, you got to let your brothers and sisters talk and get to know the house parents. It's not your job anymore. You are protected. You're in a safe environment. From that day on, the whole thing changed. The behaviors got better. They had normal growing up behaviors and difficulties in their adolescence that any kids have, and they responded to the structure and the consequences in the home. Sarah is now is married to a fine fellow whom I have met and know, and she is one of the house parents at one of the homes there in Latin America, and she knows what it's about. She does very well with that. So our idea is we want to build trust and attachment. We want to respond to those trauma-related behaviors and deal with those the best we can, and have somebody, an authority, someone who knows things, to maybe help you as house parents or staff to be able to deal with the trauma, to know how to talk to them, to know how to help them build trust. It may be that they're touch sensitive. You need to watch how you touch them, how you respond to them physically, and how you consequence behaviors, because maybe yelling is going to, which isn't a real good way to do it, but it may bring back all those traumatic memories and cause them to do worse and be scared and not be able to trust. So we provide the consistency and structure in the home. And through that process of having that consistency, having the structure in the home, these kids are going to start to feel a sense of self-worth and value. As a house parent, you value them, you care about them, you express your love to them in ways that they understand. They're getting food, or they're getting shelter, but then they also want the affection from you to be able to know that you care. There's a cost to that, and I've been through that cost as well, because even as the physician working on campus for 3 years in a home in Mexico, I got attached to some of these kids very strongly, and there were some runaways, and my son, who was finishing his growing up years there, became attached to some of the kids and had a mentoring group with some of them. One of them ran away. That was very hard on all of us. One of them died. That was an extremely traumatic experience for all of us to see that happen. We want to instill in them, as they're growing up, this sense of a creator, sense of faith, and give them the opportunity to make that decision in their life to follow Christ and to become a disciple. So discipline, and basically having consequences in the home, is more than discipline. It is discipling. It is helping them to follow the rules and consequences, but also follow Jesus and follow a positive spiritual pathway. The Christian values in a home are something that provides a strong foundation that you can build your life on, because it's truth. And we want to build our life on truth. And it's love. Love from God expressed in loving house parents and loving staff that are involved with these children. We also want to show them through our own behavior as house parents and people working with them that there's power in prayer, that we can pray and God can give us strength, God can give us wisdom, God can give us the ability to get through some tough situations. The kids maybe have a difficult problem at school or something come up, and it's a dilemma, it's difficult. So you sit down with them and you have a prayer, and you work with them through that situation. They can see that by you expressing forgiveness, by you using prayer in your own life, that you are trusting God, and you're able to show them how to do that. I want to provide some encouragement to you who are caring for these children. This is one of the most difficult ministries, difficult jobs that there is. It's costly. As I mentioned, it hurts when children leave, even when they leave in a good way. They graduate, they go out on their own, they're living their life, and you grieve that they left, and that hurts. That hurts your heart. And I always thought, well, this is a good hurt. It hurts. You have some tears. You struggled through many parts of their lives with them, and now they're going on their own. That hurts. That pulls at the heartstrings. It hurts when they turn away, when they have not been following the rules, and they run off, or they get into trouble, or they get into drugs, or get into some difficult behaviors, and that hurts. So it's a hard job. We need to be able to get strength from each other and strength from God. We need to take care of ourselves. You need to be able to have time where you can recover, have time when you can talk to each other, talk to people who are supervising you, have time of prayer and learning. It's always good to learn new things, to learn how to, like we're doing today, to learn how to handle difficult behaviors and add to your toolbox, basically, on how you're going to deal with the kids. And then having some time to for recreation, for your own personal recreation, for your time to bring back the energy that you lost. It takes energy to take care of kids. It takes energy for any job that we have, but particularly with kids, it's a lot of energy expended and very little energy that comes back. Sometimes there's no gratitude, there's no thanks from the kids for long periods of time. And then one day they say, "Can I call you mom? Can I call you dad?" And we have struggled sometimes with that, whether it's never forced on them, of course, but when you get to that point where they trust you so much that they want to consider you their parent, that is, or their aunt or uncle, that is cool. And they trust you. And one day they may say, "Thank you for what you've been doing." That's a big reward. It's worth gold when you hear those words. Thank you for helping me through my troubled years. Thank you for getting me to this point. And I've been at the graduation of some of these kids, and I see the pride and the house parents, the reward that is to them, that they made it through. And but you need to be able to keep balance in your own life, a spiritual balance, staying close to God, a physical balance, taking care of your physical needs, taking care of your own body, getting proper nutrition, proper rest, proper recreation, proper time to laugh and enjoy time with others, and be able to restore that lost energy. There are, unfortunately, millions of kids left out on the street in these big cities. I've met many of them. And it's such a sad thing. But when you can take a few of these lives into your own home, into your ministry, and be able to help them to get on track, the reward of that is so much. Change is possible. Healing of their wounds is possible. So I want to encourage you to keep learning, keep praying, and keep supporting these children in everything that you do. Always remembering, even when you're having conflicts with your staff, with the other people you're working with, and you need to get those things worked out, you got to go back to the goal that, number one, I work for God. Number two, I work for these kids, and get your priorities straight. And so that you know that, okay, even though I'm having difficulties, having trouble, my goal is to help these kids to get through their tough times. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to this little bit of training and a little bit of talking about these kids. This is such an important issue. It's been something close to my heart for many, many years. And I would hope that you would continue in this ministry, continue in this work for your whole career, and to enjoy looking back on the lives that were changed through the work that you were able to do. Thank you very much, and I wish you all well and blessings.